Here we will see ODBC Driver, Open Database Connectivity. That is, ODBC is the standard application programming interface which is used for accessing the database management system. ODBC tool acts as a mediator between data sources and the application programming language. It is used by the application developers for accessing the data in relational, non-relational and cloud data sources from different vendors. An application written using ODBC can be ported to other platforms both on the client and server side with few changes to the data access code. ODBC accomplishes DBMS independence by using the ODBC driver, which acts as a translation layer between the application and the DBMS. The applications written using ODBC functions are linked through an ODBC driver manager, and the driver passes the query to the DBMS. An application that can use ODBC is referred as the ODBC compliant. Any ODBC compliant application can access any DBMS for which a driver is installed. Drivers exist for all major DBMS, many other data sources like address book system, Microsoft Excel, or even for text or CSV files. Different layers in ODBC architectures are: first is application layer. It consists of GUI components and its basic purpose is to call the functions of ODBC API that converts SQL statements and connect to the data source and then retrieve results and then disconnect. Second is ODBC API, which consists of functions which are called by the application layer. These functions are responsible for translating applications data queries into commands that can be easily understood by the DBMS. Next is driver manager layer. It manages the loading of various drivers available in the system. It also passes the request to the appropriate drivers which are existing in next driver layer. Driver layer basically consists of many ODBC drivers. For example, Access driver, SQL Server driver, Oracle driver, etc. It executes ODBC functions calls and submit SQL request to the data source and result to the application. And last is data source. The data source is the database that being accessed. Simple data source includes flat text file, .csv file, MySQL, SQL Server or MS Access, etc. ODBC acts as a translator between an application and a data store. The application makes a simple standard call to the ODBC engine, which changes it to a form that the database can handle. ODBC can save a lot of time and effort because the program doesn't need to know the details of each database, and the database doesn't need to configure for every application that wants to access it. ODBC allows programmers to use SQL requests that access the database without knowing the proprietary interface to the database. ODBC handles the SQL request and converts it into a request that each database system can understand. Benefits of ODBC drivers are: first is database and application interoperability. Since ODBC driver provide a uniform interface for different types of databases, organization can easily add or switch the database technologies and are free to use data applications that best meet their business intelligence, analytics and reporting needs. Then performance, which are efficiently translate application queries into native database commands and offers faster query execution and data retrieval compared to other connection methods. ODBC drivers often support advanced database features, which include stored procedures which execute complex operations directly on the database. Then transactions, which maintain data integrity through a support for database transactions. And batch processing, which improve efficiency by executing multiple queries or updates in a single operation. Next is technical support and documentation. Established ODBC drivers come with good technical support and comprehensive documentation, which make it easier for developers and data managers. For developers and data managers to integrate them into their applications and troubleshoot issues. Then reduce the development time. By abstracting database specific details and managing standard security features, developers and data experts can focus on the core functionality of their roles and applications. And ease of configuration. ODBC drivers typically include tools and utilities that simplify the process of configuring and managing DSNs and ODBC connections, which make it easier for every stakeholder in an organization to get access to the data they need. Examples of ODBC drivers are: Microsoft ODBC driver for SQL Server. It provides a dynamic link library that enables applications to connect to the SQL Server. It can also be used to create new applications or upgrade existing ones. Then ODBC driver for Oracle. It enables applications to access the Oracle database. It can access the local database or communicate with network. Then MS Access ODBC driver. It enables applications to MS Access database depend on the access file, that is with extension .mdb or with extension .accdb provider is selected. Then Debug ODBC driver, a Unicode compliant driver that can retrieve and modify data in multilingual databases. ODBC drivers are available for different platforms and the prerequisite may vary by the platform.